Township Board of Supervisors meeting, June 16th, 2015. We'll begin with the salute to the flag, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mrs. Cole?
Mr. Galloway?
Here.
Mr. Bransky?
Here.
Mr. Harvey?
Here.
Mr. Dents?
Here.
Mr. Rocco?
The record show Mr. Rocco was on a work trip on the other side of the country. He had his bosses sent him out there to solve some kind of problem. So talked about the idea of maybe having him Skype in, but just was proved to be too hectic, so he sends his regrets. We have a pretty sizable agenda and some good things going on, especially in the front here. We're talking about some people in our community, former police officers who have retired, who've obviously made a big contribution, and our first our Citizens Fire Academy. I also want to recognize local Boy Scout Carl Creer from Troop 53, who's here working on his Communications Merit Badge, on his way to an Eagle Scout in a couple months, hopefully. So glad he's here. We're going to begin turning everything over here to Chief Wilcox, who's going to present awards to two of our retired police officers, Yale Gottenberg and John Trindle. We have some presentations for them. So, Chief?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, honored staff, our community, all my colleagues here, former retirees, and the honored families this evening. We're here tonight for a special occasion. It's a sad occasion, but it's a great occasion. This is a special calling, police, because they're retired, but they're really not retired. When the bell rings, I can assure you that John Trindle and Yale Gottenberg would still be there, whether they're in a shopping center and something happened. They're a cop. They'll be cops for life, and that's what happens here. You're a fireman for life. If there's a fire, you would go to it. And these guys, although they're retired, they'll always be policemen. And that's just the way it is. It's a great calling. I've said this before on many, many occasions. There's nothing like this profession. With that being said, we're here to honor two of our own tonight. Yale J. Gottenberg and John Keenan Trindle. Who knew Keenan? Nobody. A combined service record of 66 years. That's a long time. 66 years. We'll start with Yale Gottenberg. 1984. That's when he comes on. He goes to police academy with our former retiree, Ron McPherson, who is now a chief, and Detective Corporal John Martin. They go to the academy. He graduates in April, and shortly they're out on the road, and sometime in October, Yale's involved in a shooting with two pretty dangerous characters. They shoot an officer in Middletown. Yale was to subsequently find him several hours later, and he's involved in a shootout. Only on the street less than a year. Ends up with the Medal of Valor, together with all the other officers were there. That would continue in his career in 1987, where he receives the Medal of Valor again. But we have a unique thing this evening. Both Officer Trindle and Yale Gottenberg have received 2 Medals of Valor apiece. That doesn't always happen, and that's really significant. Now, Yale Gottenberg, as you can see by his plaque up here tonight, is the most decorated officer in the history of this police department. John Trindle also is, as you'll see his citations on his plaque, is also very decorated. I'm sorry, man.
Can't get you on the camera.
Yes.
I'm sorry, the camera.
All right, yes.
Sorry, Matt. So here we are honoring these guys tonight. Great jobs. Yale held the post of, let me see if I can remember all these titles that he held. SWAT, range instructor, range master, armorer, community policing, DARE instructor, Forgive me, Yelp, I'm losing. There's a whole plethora of things that you did on the police department. Did it, I'm assuming. No fanfare, just did the job. Came to work every day, just did the job. Can you ask any more than that? No. But most of all, you know what? They were great human beings. Or he was a great human being, still is a great human being. Without me saying this, his son followed in his footsteps, who's here this evening. Sergeant Glenn Gottenberg's here from Warrington. It doesn't get any better than that, to have your son follow in your footsteps. And he's got big shoes to fill. His father performed to the utmost, and he did the job, the undaunting task of doing it and doing it correctly, and just being a good cop. They'll always be my friends. They'll always be friends of everybody here. And it doesn't get any better than that. John Trindle. John Trindle lived with me at one time, early in his career. And that was a unique experience. John was one of the best truck inspectors of all times. The tandem of him and Don Airy together, the truckers hated him. And believe it or not, John is still inspecting trucks, but with somebody else. John is one of the foremost accident investigators in the entire East Coast. There's two other that may be close to him, and Lieutenant Randy Tange from Hilltown Township, and the chief from Langhorne, Mawhinney, Steve Mawhinney, thank you. Steve Mawhinney. But to me, John is the best. There's no one in John's class. When we need information, when we call on him, John knows. He's investigated some of the most horrendous accidents in this area and continues to do that. But he did the job also. He did the job every day. Another fine human being, character person. And that's what we have here, and that's what we have. We have some retirees here tonight, characters. Not characters, but character human beings. We got a few characters too. We could go on and on and on, but you know what? At the end of the day, they'll still be our friends. They'll still be cops. There'll be an R beside their name. But they'll still respond, no matter where they are, no matter what happens. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do, I'm going to ask Sergeant Glenn Gottenberg to come up here and give his plaque to his father. I'm going to ask you to hold your applause, and then I'm going to ask John to come up and receive his plaque, and then we all can hoot, holler, scream, yell, and applaud for great 66 years from these two individuals. Glenn, could you come up here, please? Glenn, I hope you lift weights today because this plaque is heavy. Yeah, could you step up here, please? On behalf of the Board of Supervisors, we'd like to present you with this plaque for 30 years of service. Thank you. The inscription on the bottom reads, Patrolman Yale Gottenberg, 1984 to 2014, proudly presented with distinction, the highest decorated officer in the history of the Falls Township Police Department. Yale, could you step over here 1 second with Glenn? John, could you step up here? John, on behalf of our supervisors, the police department, everybody, we want to thank you for everything.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody.
Chief Wilcox, it's been an honor and a privilege to work with you side by side and to work for you as my chief. You're a great guy. I respect you to the end, and I'll value our friendship forever. You are the epitome of what a chief should be. On another note, I'd like to just say that the plaque that I received this evening is not indicative of me. It's about we. There's a part of each and every one of you attached to this plaque. You were always there for me as well as I was always there for you. This is what we do, and it's who we are. With that being said, thank you. Be careful. Look out for one another. And God bless all of you. Thank you.
I just want to thank Bill Wilcox, not only for being a great boss, let me live with him for a while. There's a couple guys in the back that trained me. I know it was a little trying at times, but they obviously did a good job. And there's a bunch of guys standing in the back that I had a hand in help training. So I just want to tell everybody, God bless, be safe, and thank you.
To everyone, we're going to have a little buffet on the police side of the building. People are welcome to come over. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Congratulations, sir. Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, you get some pictures. Get a picture. Get Officer Trindle.
Small country. White clock's only a curveball. And then there's
It's not the Courier building back in Northampton.
I got too many.
All right, so you're gonna work out with staff.
Yeah,
Why not?
Yeah, we do. Okay.
How are you? Yeah, why don't you, you're nervous. Let me get up. Yeah.
Oh, I did.
3:30?
Some staff.
3? You bringing your client?
Yes. He needs to pour his heart out. I'll tell you about the $100,000 he didn't spend redesigning this thing because of his recommendations. I already told him.
What?
I already told him no on that.
3:30?
You'll hear better from him.
3:30. I'll confirm it with Eileen and with Bob.
Okay.
So you're just going to and yeah, he's always here, staff. And you,
Next Tuesday.
we have time. We're running out of time.
No, I can't be here next Tuesday.
No. I mean, oh, you can't be here next Tuesday.
He's only here meeting nights.
So you get the
I'm
following.
not only here meeting night.
So we all have to adjust our schedule.
Well, no, I'm going to be a pendant. I actually have to be a pendant. I can't.
I'll have Eileen do it. But you're up here what? Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So then you're doing Newton Plan up here, so I can do both of these meetings at the same time.
Yeah, except not on Monday.
Eileen But I mean, do we have time? We have time. He's just gonna. You're just gonna. We have time on the application.
Yeah, we should, because we're resubmitted. Yeah.
So you're just gonna. Right.
I've never played that game. I never won.
I know.
With some people. There's a couple. I haven't yet.
So we're going to try and set up the Township for Super.
Next Tuesday. I can't do it.
You can't do next Tuesday?
No, I don't have any problem coming back here. Any Tuesday. Come down 1:30 and Sunday's 3:30.
Well, can we do next Wednesday then? It's gonna have to not be Tuesday, I'll be like.
What was that?
And the following Tuesday is.
Yeah, we do it on Monday or Wednesday or whatever, so. No, to tell you the truth,
Okay,
I'd rather not have mom.
a great way to start off a meeting, obviously, and especially in light of a lot of the events that have happened in the country over the past couple of months where police officers, are often, targets of accusations, and certainly we know that in an occupation where you have, I don't know how many police officers there are in the country, I'm sure hundreds of thousands of police officers, cities to small towns, state police and local police and everything else. Certainly out of a number of that many, you're going to have some officers that don't do the job as they should. And certainly there have been some situations where we've seen that. But unfortunately, a broad brush gets used, and every police officer is painted with it, even if it's only, one or two or however many, very few, that sort of go over the line. I think it's a great example of how these two gentlemen here today, great examples of real, true professional police officers. Two officers I was very fortunate to come to know pretty well over the time I've been here, and really came to respect, and kind of just seeing the plaque with Yale Gottenberg and hearing that he was, in the history of this township, the history of this police department, the most decorated officer ever. I think says volumes about him, and what you saw tonight was a real genuine gentleman that he is. John Trindle the same way. So I thank Chief Wilcox for putting that together, and obviously wish both Officer Trindle and Officer Gottenberg very happy retirement. We are going to move to our Citizens Fire Academy in a second. We do have one. We're going to change the agenda just for a second. Mr. Hecker, who represents the applicant in item number 3, asked if he could just have a brief moment at the microphone. And so we're going to grant him that.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey, members of the board. There are still a couple of issues that we need the opportunity to resolve. Requesting the opportunity to meet with staff, and then we'll bring this plan back to the Board of Supervisors for your consideration. So I would ask that the matter be tabled, and we'll get back to you about a rescheduled date.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to table item number 3 to a later date?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, thank you. Okay. Fire Marshal Rich DiPolito is here, and he's going to talk to us a little bit about the Citizens Fire Academy, which is just wrapped up, and we have a graduation ceremony for some of the people who are here. So,
okay. It's a hard act to follow after Yale and John. I couldn't be prouder to say that I've known them as long as they've been here. Two great cops, two great friends. Congratulations to them both. But first, I want to thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to put together the Citizens Fire Academy. It was something that back in the summer of last year, I spoke to Officer Yeager. He was doing the Falls Police Academy. And we got talking about how he put it together and what kind of interest he had in the residents. And I thought maybe it's something we want to try from fire side. So talked to him a lot. He gave me some tips how to get started. We came up with a game plan, and with my staff, 2 of my guys are here tonight. If I can have Eddie Pullen and Mike Marjoram come up. Mike Oakley also was instrumental in helping us put this together, but he had class tonight and couldn't make it. So we all sat down and we came up with a syllabus of sorts of something we wanted to try and cover. And because it was the first time we were doing it, to be quite honest, I wanted to not make it too long, too drawn out, work the bugs out and see how it went before we made this thing, some long drawn out event. So we ran it for 5 sessions every other week. Total was, from I guess somewhere in April till the beginning of June. Some of the topics we covered, what you need to be a firefighter in the state of Pennsylvania, how many hours, the training, the gear, all that good stuff. We did a session on fire extinguisher training, home safety. We went over, after the fire extinguishers, we did some smoke detectors, carbon monoxide discussions. We did a lot of that. Then we had one night where we had the 3 township volunteer fire companies come up, and they brought their equipment and let the residents go over it and see how it was used, put their hands on it and see what kind of weight some of this stuff, and that was a pretty interesting night. Then we did a night of first aid, CPR, and AED training. Levittown Firehouse Rescue Squad came up, provided that for us. And then the last night, we took a trip. First of all, we visited a local fire scene that I had, and we went over what we do to try and investigate a fire, how we start, what we look for. And then after we got done there, we went up and took a tour of one of the hotels in town, and then we went to a restaurant. And we went over things that we look for on a normal annual inspection, and also things that I felt that was something that most people use, a hotel, a restaurant, what to look for when you're out to keep yourself safe. You're out of town, you know, silly things that I'm sure we all do. Where are the exits, where are the stairwells, you know, emergency lights, fire extinguishers, all that good stuff. So I believe it was well received. It was a small class, which was fine with me. I wanted to keep it small. If I was going to stumble or stammer, I didn't want a large class to do it in front of. Unfortunately, out of the people that we had, we ended up with 7 or 8, I guess, that I actually went through the whole thing. We were only able to get, I believe, 3 tonight. Others had other commitments and couldn't make it, and unfortunately, I would have rescheduled it, but it was last-minute cancellation, so it was a little late. So if I could, first, Jim Fee. Karen Rocco, and Ariane Presser, if you'd please join me up here. Karen? Thank you. Jim? Thank you. Ariane? Without these people and their interest and the other folks that unfortunately couldn't make it tonight, we wouldn't have put anything together. I believe it went well. I think hopefully they took something out of it for safety. You know, take it with you, share it with others, and we'll be doing this again we'll be doing this again next spring. So hopefully we'll have a larger turnout. We can work off what we put together this time. I also want to thank my guys. I mean, without Mike and Eddie and the other Mike, I wouldn't have been able to do it. They were instrumental in putting it all together. The fire companies and the squad for helping me out the one night doing the training. So without dragging this on any longer, I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
Rich.
Yes, please.
Stand up. Let's stand up. You guys get back up. You back up, Rich. Right, yeah. Gotta get you on camera.
Stand up, Rich.
Thanks, Don.
Okay.
I think my eyes were closed.
Congratulations, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Rich, if you don't mind, just because I think it's a great program, and I'm sure there's going to be people out there, some people, of course, that know the 3 people that are here this evening and might stop them and say, oh, you know, ask more. Maybe read the names of the people, other people, just so they get some recognition publicly. And also,
I should have done that, yeah.
Yeah, anybody else that knows them, sees them on the street or somewhere, says, oh, tell me about that program I heard you're in.
Doran Johnson, he attended the entire thing. Chase Spring, Randy Spring, father and son, and Barbara Nelson. We had a couple other people that attended, but due to work schedules, we're only able to make a couple, but want to do it the next year when they can really plan their dates around it. And like I said, it seemed like it was well received, and hopefully they got something out of it. Yeah. So, but I appreciate the opportunity.
Sure,
Thank
absolutely.
You.
Thank you, and thank your staff as well. Thanks, guys. Okay, we're going to move to public comment of number 1. A couple names on our list here. Looking at the resident sign-in sheet. Guido Mariani.
I think it's great. What we've seen is a reflection of the kind of people that make up this township.
Yeah.
And I'm so proud of every one of them. Now, I'm not as welcoming or enthusiastic about the proposed expansion of the Falls Township landfill program. I view a secure landfill as a carefully engineered, complex environmental system that needs to be managed on an ongoing basis. Now, because it's important to have a basic understanding of landfill expansion, there's a multitude of questions contained in the basic of landfills, which I got into because I'm concerned about it, that should be answered, and I'll give you just a brief sample. First is the ownership of the landfill, because that's the key, but we're okay there. Some of the questions I have: how big is the landfill going to be? A couple hundred acres? What's the depth of the landfill in feet? And what will be the height, the highest point, the cap, after it's closed? These are very important questions. How much area is going to be filled with garbage? How much acreage is going to be used for a buffer zone? How much acreage is going to be unused? What's the maximum tons per day landfill is going to accept? Now, Mr. Gray said that the income is going to increase to $625 and later to $650. Does the contract have a minimum tons per day quota, what they call put or pay clause? If it does, who's responsible for finding the additional tonnage or the money in lieu of the tonnage? What type of garbage will it be filled with? In tons per day, how much garbage is going to come from Bucks? I understand probably around 10%. The rest from Philadelphia, New York, and New Jersey. How many years will the landfill be in operation? Now, it's going to be in operation long after I'm gone, especially at my age. But like some of these residents tonight, I care about the township. What will be the linear cap, the liner and the cap be made of? That's extremely important. How long will the operators be responsible once the landfill is closed? I'm not going to be here the post-closure period. Who's going to be responsible? Who will be responsible for it once the post-period is over? These are important questions. Among the other concerns I see coming our way, possibly radioactive garbage. I think about the military and secrecy and military toxics that may come here that you can't talk about. And the EPA says all landfills leak, even those with the best available liners. So Waste Management, I know, was being fined millions of dollars until a system to handle the leak cat was finished. I don't know if it's ever been finished or is still being fined. Now, personally, I think we've taken enough garbage into Falls Township. Been doing it for about 30 years. And at some point, my fear is we're not going to be able to contain all that waste and protect the surrounding environment. I don't see how we're going to be able to do that. Then come the consequences. My great fear is, in most cases, they become lethal. We've been living high for a long time. I believe, and I've said this before, the reckoning day is coming. I am more concerned about the garbage that's piling up than I am about the day that it stops, which I would welcome. I'm asking this board, grow a pair of antlers and leave this hazardous gamble. You got scared, didn't you?
A little bit.
I'm a religious guy. Leave this hazardous gamble to provide revenue for the general fund. Let it go. Expand your tax base, okay? Host fees and the pursuit of more host fees, which is what we're doing, I think is going to be the death rattle of this township. I'm not in favor of it. I understand why people want it. I'm not going to be here, so to me, it's not a big deal one way or another. I care about this township. I'd like to see us move away, get rid of the host fee. We can do it. We can do it budget-wise, and it's not as difficult as some people think. So I want to thank you tonight.
Yeah.
And again, congratulations to these folks.
Absolutely. I can answer quite a few of the questions you raised. I've lost track of all of them because you were going through them
I have an extra
pretty
copy.
fast.
I just happen to have one
So,
if you need it. So.
In terms of the landfills, The one that's shared between us and Tullytown has been in the news a lot recently. That's the one that DEP gave 2 years to close, basically to finish, which is about what they can do anyway. It's that's not really accelerating anything. That's pretty standard. The what's called Turkey Hill, the old Turkey Hill site, Grows North is what it's known as. That has a few years left, and then the site that is the expansion they're working on, the process been working on for several years, is going to be on the old Cookworks site in the steel mill, which is going to be called Grows Fairless. That's going to be the actual name of it. That's about 250 acres. That, just to give you an idea, the land it was being built on, again, the old Cookworks, part of the steel mill, was so polluted that Waste Management has had to spend millions of dollars to clean it so that they can make it a landfill.
I read that, yeah. No.
Just to give you some concept of that. And it is, and I know it's been a while since we talked about this, but the agreement we signed with Waste in 2005 really anticipated this Grows North, the Cokeworks landfill. And this is the second most regulated industry in America after nuclear power. And I've certainly, I live in this community, and I'm raising my children here, and so I'm concerned about it as well. I drink from the water that comes from the river. That's a concern people have. Waste management, some of the things you raised were issues we raised in 2005. There is a sort of a subsidiary company of Waste Management that runs these landfills. And the concern we had in 2005 was, okay, well, after this landfill operation's over, does that subsidiary go away, and then who owns the landfills at that point? Because if there's no subsidiary anymore, because they've dissolved, then what happens to ownership? That was something that we have in the agreement, that it reverts to what the nickname is called Mother Waste, which is the Houston Waste Management Incorporated. They will own and they will be responsible financially in terms of insurance and everything else and monitoring for all of that. In terms of waste coming from outside Bucks County, that's something we cannot control. The Interstate Commerce Clause of the U.S. Constitution allows Waste Management to bring trash in from anywhere they want. It's all residential waste. There is some construction waste, which could be anything from concrete to pieces of wood or anything else. Every truck that goes into the landfill, no matter where it comes from, has to go through a radioactive detector. If there's any radioactivity, it is turned around, it's isolated, and it is not permitted to dump anything. This is not a hazardous waste site. They're not permitted to do anything like that there. There is no minimum tonnage they have to put per day, but there is what is known as a most favored nation clause, which basically states that our top rate, if any landfill in Pennsylvania, at any point over the life of that existing landfill, if it's 20, 30 years, doesn't matter. If at any point some other community in Pennsylvania has a rate higher than what we get, we match that higher rate automatically. So that is something that we were looking forward to in 2005, thinking forward in 2005 to match that. And certainly I think we've done and we continue to try and do all we can to try and broaden the tax base. I agree with you. Certainly with approving some projects that we're going to approve, I think tonight, some pretty good projects that are expansions of existing businesses that want to stay in Falls. We have the Live Here, Spend Here program that we're going to be talking a little bit about, announcing the winner of the logo contest later on this evening, and hopefully getting some more businesses in there, and trying to get people to realize how attractive a township this is. And I think it is. I know you think it is as well.
Oh, I do.
But certainly we're looking forward to the time when there isn't going to be that landfill. It is decades away, but and I think you're right. There is a danger to getting addicted to it. I agree.
Look, at my age, I could say I don't care.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it the way it is because I'm not paying.
Right.
But I do care, and I tell you, I don't think you're going to get 17 years out of it.
Huh.
I really don't.
Well, the thing
the more I read about it,
the thing that's lengthening the lifespan is the amount of recycling. How much recycling people are doing is actually lengthening the amount of time that landfill is going to be there, because there just isn't as much trash being deposited because people are recycling more, which is a good thing. The money will come to Falls, whether it comes in 15 years, 17 years, 20 years. That amount of money, that airspace that's there, that's fixed. That amount is coming. It's just, over how long a time.
My concern is the LECAT.
Sure.
I haven't heard anything about Waste Management completing the system to fix that. I know the EPA says they all leak. Those are the concerns that I have. I don't care what kind of liner you use, so on and so forth. But I'm not an expert, and I appreciate your answering some of the questions that I had. And I'm sure the residents do also.
Yeah,
But
thank you.
you're a resident, get involved. Whether you agree with this or not, get involved. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, that's the only name on the resident sign-in sheet. Is there any other residents who wish to speak? Okay, we have one name on the non-resident sign-in sheet. Janine Davis.
Thank you. Thank you very much to the board for allowing me to speak tonight. My family and I were residents here for over 15 years, and we recently just moved to Lower Makefield Township. But I am here to speak tonight. A very close friend of mine, Jeff Rocco and Karen Rocco, did announce a few months ago about a support group that we had started, and I wanted to just bring that up to everyone tonight to get it out to the community, and I'm also just bringing it out to other communities as well within Pennsylvania, in Lower Bucks. So again, my name is Janine Davis, and I wanted to talk again about something that's very near and dear to my heart, which is Tourette syndrome. I am a member of the board of directors for the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance, and Tourette syndrome is an often misunderstood inherited neurological disorder. I'm a mother and wife, and I have 2 boys that are both at Pennsbury School District. My youngest son is the one that has Tourette syndrome, and this is why it's so close to our family's heart. He was diagnosed at the age of 8. He's now 13 years old, and this is something that there is no cure for Tourette syndrome. But what I want to talk about tonight is the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance, and this again grows across all communities and everyone in the state of Pennsylvania. We currently had a family camp that was held this past weekend, June 12th through 14th, and it was in light of Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, which I'll talk about in a moment. And this year, the kickoff for camp was a banquet that celebrated the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance 30th anniversary. So this has been going on for quite some time. The celebration began with a keynote address by Justin Bachman, who is a nationally recognized speaker with Tourette syndrome and founder of Honor Good Deeds, which is an organization that empowers people to live loud and embrace their differences. An awards banquet followed, as many longtime supporters of the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance were recognized for prestigious awards. The annual camp was held at Camp Eater, which is in Fairfield, Pennsylvania, and it included parent workshop, children activities, educational speakers, and an opportunity for families to connect with other families that have Tourette syndrome and those that are struggling with the effects of this neurological disorder. Again, most people don't know about Tourette syndrome. It's not often talked about. There's many other neurological disorders that are, but Tourette syndrome is not. So the camp came to an end of the Tourette Syndrome Awareness Month, which is recognized between May 15th and June 15th every year. And as I mentioned again, it's a neurological disorder, which is characterized by tics, again, that are often misunderstood. Many people think that Tourette syndrome is something that is where you're constantly saying profanity or obscene words, and that's not what it is. In fact, less than 10% of the community worldwide has that type of tic, which is vocal type tics that, again, most people don't have that. It's a very low percentage. So what tics are involuntary, rapid, sudden movements or vocalizations that occur repeatedly in the same way. And a tic can be a movement or sound such as blinking, sniffing, throat clearing, and twitching. And the tics often change and wax and wane, as they have done with my son. And they definitely wax and wane in severity as well. They can oftentimes disappear for a few weeks or months and then come back, which also causes confusion by those that are trying to understand this disorder. The onset of symptoms is before the age of 18, and most people are diagnosed between the ages of 7 and 13. So again, what I just wanted to present tonight to you all is the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance is a nonprofit organization that promotes awareness and acceptance and provides education and assists families, schools, and communities while advocating for individuals with Tourette syndrome. So for more information on Tourette syndrome, you can go to www.PATSA, which again is Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance .org. So again, it's www.patsainc.org. You can also call 1-800-990-3300. Lastly, I just wanted to say that I run a local support group at St. Mary Medical Center, which is run each quarter, and it's the third Tuesday of every month. It is in January, and our next it runs from January, April, July, and October from 6:30 to 8 p.m., again at St. Mary Medical Center, and our next meeting will be held July 21st. The most important thing that I want to say is that the Pennsylvania Tourette Syndrome Alliance, this is for anyone in the state of Pennsylvania. It's not just for any community or any county. This is for everyone. So anyone that is suffering from this disorder, I just wanted to make sure that I, came here tonight and that spread that awareness so that people are aware of that and know that there is support out there.
Okay.
So I thank the board for allowing me to speak tonight.
Oh, no, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, those are all the names we had on the signage. Any other non-residents wish to speak? Okay. All right, we can move to our next agenda item, which is a certificate of appropriateness for 25, 27, and 27 Lower Marsville Road. This was an issue we heard at our last meeting involving a request to change the house siding on that house, which is 2 homes in 1 building, 25 and 27, from clapboard siding to vinyl siding. This is a home inside the historic district. At our last meeting, we heard from the property owner, Mr. Feldman, who raised his thoughts and concerns, and I know there was some desire by the board to talk with our historic review board, who had voted unanimously against allowing, the replacement of the existing clapboard siding with vinyl siding. And I know that some board members have had some conversations, had talked, also I think someone had a conversation with Mr. Rocco to get his thoughts. Comments or questions from board members regarding the application for the certificate of appropriateness? No? Comments or questions? So at this point, Chair will entertain a motion to either allow certificate of grant the certificate of appropriateness or deny the certificate of appropriateness.
I'll make a motion to deny the certificate of appropriateness for 25 and 27 Lower Marshall Road, Fallsington, PA.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, motion made and seconded. Any discussion? No? All right, public comment? Okay, see when hands or motion to open public comment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Mr. Feldman?
I had a little problem hearing back there. That's why I came up to ask you that. So what was the outcome on that?
Well, well, so far just a motion was made to deny and a motion was seconded. We haven't voted yet.
Okay. I had a difficult time hearing.
Okay, that's fine. I apologize.
All right, thank you.
Any other public comment or questions? Okay, motion to close public comment?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, so motion is to deny certificate of appropriateness 25 and 27 Lower Marsville Road. Is there any other measures we need to take before voting, or does this have to be a resolution or no?
We'll have to prepare a written decision for the applicant.
Okay.
So we'll complete that and circulate that for signatures,
Okay.
assuming the motion passes.
Right, okay. All right, so again, motion made and seconded to deny the certificate of appropriateness. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Apologies to Mr. and Mrs. Feldman. There was a lot of discussion on the issue, more discussion than I ever remember having on any certificate of appropriateness ever. And it came down to the decision that our hard board made, which was that we know that there are properties, I know you've highlighted some properties where this has been allowed in the past, but that's not something we've done, it's not something they've done. And there's a lot of disagreement about whether or not that should have been done.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
What is hardy plank? I want to know the historical significance of hardy plank.
I'd have to defer.
Seeing how it was designed and made in 1982.
Yeah, I'd have to defer to Mr. Bennett or Mr. Sullivan. I don't know anything
Bennett?
about hardy plank.
I think Mr. Sullivan will be able to answer better.
I don't know, Mr. Sullivan or
Hardy plank siding, there's no historical significance to hardy plank siding.
is it just that it's wood siding? Is that
It's
all?
wood siding.
Okay, so it's
It's
just
cement
replace-
board.
It's
Cement board.
yeah, I
Cement
don't.
board.
Yeah, I mean the recommendation was to
It's not vinyl.
keep the existing or use hardy plank siding. That was the decision of the hardboard. So they're giving you, I guess, the option of doing one or the other. I mean, there in the discussions that I know the board members have had with them, and we've had discussions with each other a little bit. It's just
I don't understand
to-
the reasoning when hardy plank looks exactly like 6-inch aluminum siding that every Levittown house had in the 1960s. That you can't tell the difference. There's a house across the street from me with hardy plank, and I dare you to tell me it's hardy plank unless you know it.
You're
It
right, you
looks
can't
like
tell.
aluminum siding.
yeah.
I don't understand why there's a problem with it when I'm using the same reveal wood grain vinyl siding. I don't understand why everybody has a problem with that. I can't afford to put new clapboard on my house. And I don't want to live in a house that is deteriorating. I take pride in my property. And that's why I want to invest the money into it. Hardy plank's out of the question. Stripping and painting my house is $34,000. I can't afford that either. Painting it right now, every 5 years, is $7 grand because the old paint is breaking down. Now, I don't know why I have to be discriminated against and forced to do something that I can't afford to do. And you made a statement the other night about I should have known moving into a historic zone that I had certain things I had to adhere to. That's wrong. I checked with 1 million realtors. They never tell the people that when they're buying a house in a historic zone. They just sell the house. They don't give them a heads up that you have to go in front of a historic review board. I just find it unfair that I'm forced to do this.
Well, I wish I.
What do we do with the other houses that are there? The first school in Fallsington, 1804, all vinyl.
And it shouldn't have been, quite frankly. And that's not something we had any control over, and that was something that the hard board raised too. I mean, we don't. But
Are they going to be made to take it off? Because
I don't know
somebody
what's gonna
dropped the
happen.
ball and didn't do anything?
I don't know. I can't answer that until they come to us. I don't know.
Who's going to answer that question, Mr. Harvey?
Well, I have to wait if they come before us and ask to do new siding at some point, which I don't know if they will or won't.
Well, they're
We'll
not,
have
but
to
they
address it
did
then.
something illegal, supposedly, and it's there.
Yeah, and we can't change what other people did in the past. And
Why can't you? No statute of limitations on putting up vinyl siding?
Well, because at some point someone made a decision that allowed them to do it, which
Or
you know,
didn't allow them to do it?
I
don't know.
I don't know either. I don't know either. You know, and I know I know you're upset, and I know that I expected it. You know, and
I'm kind of past being upset.
Oh, I know. It's just that's the decision of the board, and
It's wrong.
You know,
It's wrong. You people are wrong. I'm telling you right now.
Okay, item number 3, we've already talked about and tabled. Item 4, Abington Reldon Metals LLC, amended final land development for Phase 2, 550 Old Bordentown Road, tax map parcel 1351-1-9. Mr. Gray?
Yes, as mentioned, this is for Abington Reldan. They are looking for an amended final land development. They're proposing construction of an addition to an existing industrial building. The board is asked to consider this item at this time.
Yeah, we only took 3 years.
Good evening, Dean Reneker from Gilmore and Associates. I'm the project manager on this project, and I have with me tonight Don Rouchett from DMR Construction, and Don is the applicant's representative and project manager. What you have in front of you tonight is a modification, or an amendment, I should say, to the second phase of this project. If you would like, I could come up and maybe give you a real brief explanation as to what we're trying to do.
That's fine, yeah, just make sure you bring the microphone with you. Thank you.
Right. Previously, you approved this plan in a two-phase situation. That was back in 2007. Following that, they have built the first phase, which I'm running my hand around right now, which is about 56,000 square feet of building. If you recall, maybe last spring, I believe it was, we came in for an amendment to do a canopy down at this end, and they also did some drainage improvements along a concrete slab here. The original intent then for phase two was to basically build a similar sized building up in this location at a later date. In the intervening time since they've built the building and been up and in operation, they have obviously seen some things that haven't worked as they thought they would. There's some things they need to do right now to make their operation work better. So what they're proposing to do for phase two is to, down at this end, which is basically the office end of the building, they're going to build a two-story small addition. It's 30 feet by 40 feet. First floor would be locker rooms, that type of thing, for the plant employees, and the second floor would be some expansion to the office area. Down at the southerly end, instead of building this second building here, which was the phase two building, they want to build a connector piece and then a small addition here. This would represent a little over 10,000 square feet of building. And along with that building addition, which is what we're calling phase two now, they would add an additional loading dock area here. Right now there's one down in this area. What they have found in operation is that they have trucks come in and they have to sit there and wait to be unloaded, and if they sit longer than 2 hours, they have to pay them to be there. So they need some more space, loading dock space, to get the trucks unloaded a little quicker. And then this will give them a little bit of storage area for those trucks as they unload them. That's the plan for phase two, and that's kind of why we're here tonight for the amended phase two. The plan does show that eventually they do plan to build out that remaining portion of the property. Right now, we have it divided in this section, which would be phase three, and then this section would be phase four. And at that time, the driveway and parking area would be run around to provide for the additional parking and so forth they would need at that point in time. So that's where we are tonight, and that's why we're in front of you, to see if we can get an amended final plan for phase two.
Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
Mr. Sullivan, do you have any issues with this?
I have no issues with this plan.
That's it for me.
Mr. Boraski?
I have nothing at this time.
Mr. Dents?
No.
Is there any kind of, for looking forward to phase three and phase four, is there any kind of timeline you have with that, or is it just basically market driven?
There's no timeline at this point.
Okay. And just for, I mean, I remember kind of approving this, I think, like I said, I was the only one on the board when we approved it, but for everybody else, just for a reminder, what is it that Abington Reldon does as operations?
Yes. The issue is they recycle computers, smelting, they take gold from the product and everything right there.
Hey, raise the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
So they basically recycle all your phones, everything that keeps it from going to your landfill, basically. Okay. And it's also this building. He's happy. But it also, this building was built LEED certification with silver, and we're staying with that. and we have the leads people on board. So, but they really take in trucks after trucks of stuff that would probably go to your landfills back in the day.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions? I think, and this is basically, it's a very simple sort of amendment. There's no waivers being asked for.
That's correct, and we're in agreement with that resolution
Okay.
as it stands.
Okay. And I don't think there's anything else. All right. Pretty general comment from the fire marshal. This would be resolution 1513. 1513. Motion first. Is there a motion to approve resolution 1513, amending the final land development for phase 2 of Abington Relda Metals LLC?
So moved.
Second.
Is there any public comment needed? I don't see any hands. Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the resolution. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen.
You're the authorized agent.
Yes, indeed.
It's okay.
Okay, next item on the agenda is Gillette Realty, final land development for Phase 2, 11 Steel Road. Mr. Gray.
Yes, this is for Gillette Realty, final land development for Phase 2, 11 Steel Road, tax map parcel 1347-152. The applicant is proposing improvements of a facility expansion consisting of a 3-phase construction of approximately 21,000 square feet for a laboratory building, 16,800 square feet for a manufacturing building, 3,500 square feet for a Band 4 building, and one 8,840 square foot storage shed canopy with associated parking, lighting, and stormwater management facilities. Tonight, representing the applicant is Mr. John Koopman.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is John Koopman. I'm here with representatives of Gillette. Kevin King and Matt Suits are here. They're both been with Gillette. Is this on?
You have to hold a little closer, that's all. Yeah, it's on.
It's on, yeah.
Yes.
They're both with Gillette and have been with Gillette for some period of time now. And Mr. Reardon is our project engineer from Bowler. And I think you may recall, you're familiar with Gillette's facility, I assume. If not, I can just give you a very brief explanation. Gillette has been in the township since approximately 2000, been located on Steel Road in what I refer to as the first phase of the USX Industrial Park. They're a specialty chemical manufacturer, and as they've been in Falls Township, they've grown and expanded. We have now over 100 employees and contribute to the tax base, not only for the township, but the school district. And we found ourselves back in 2010, 2011, needing an expansion. And in 2013, some of you were on the board, some of you may not have been, we came before the board and obtained preliminary plan approval for an expansion of the facility. The expansion consisted of 3 phases. The first phase is and was what we call a pilot or research and development facility. Phase 2, which is before you tonight, is a drum storage and tank farm facility, and Stage 3 is an additional manufacturing facility and what we call a Band 4 building. All of those received preliminary plan approval from this board back in August of 2013. At that time, Phase 1, which is the pilot or R&D building, also received final plan approval. That's, if you've been in the area lately, that's in the process of being constructed now. That's in the area of the cul-de-sac at the end of Steel Road. That we hope will be completed in October, and we'll be occupying that facility. And now we need to move forward with Phase 2, and that's what's before you tonight. We're seeking final plan approval for Phase 2, which is the drum storage and tank farm facility. We already have a tank farm and drum storage as part of the original construction, but because of the expansion of the facilities, we need more capacity. So that's what's, again, before you this evening. Phase 3 is in the future. anticipating the question. I'm not sure when that will be built, but we are moving forward with the phases, so I anticipate it won't be long before we're back before you for phase 3, which is the additional manufacturing building. And we have review letters from your engineer, all of which will comply. I don't think there's any waivers that we're requesting, so I think it's a pretty clean review letter. If you'd like, Bill Reardon, you want to just show the board on the plan what's involved? I think he's marked up a plan that shows phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, and can just, so you know what's involved with it. I just say that as part of phase 2, there'll be access ways built, so there'll be access completely around this facility, and phase 3 again will come somewhere down the road. Phase 3 is the rear of the property.
The existing facility is to the bottom of the plan. Originally, there was a smaller Band 4 building built just into this lot area. Phase 1 is in the front portion of the property here. Phase 2 is this lower area that's highlighted in yellow. So the larger area is the drum storage and the canopy, as well as the tank farm next to it. As part of phase 1, there's a drive aisle that's being constructed that's going around the building. That will be continued in phase 2 and connect with the existing drive aisle that's behind or next to the existing Band 4.
Okay. All right. Comments or questions from board members? Mr. Galloway?
No questions.
Mr. Boraski?
No.
Mr. Dents?
No, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. Mr. Sullivan, any issues from you?
No issues, thank you.
Okay. This would be Resolution 1514. This would be, again, the final land development for Phase 2, Gillespie Realty Incorporated, 11 Steel Road. Is there a motion for that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Any public comment needed? See no hands. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen.
Okay, item 6 is consider awarding township insurance policy for the period of June 18th, 2015 to June 18th, 2016. This is for property, general liability, and public liability. Mr. Gray?
The township received quotes for insurance from Vaughn Insurance Managers regarding the upcoming insurance proposal for the period beginning June 18th, 2015 and ending June 18th, 2016. Vaughn Insurance received 2 separate quotes. The first one was from Travelers, Markle, WNC First, and NFIP for $367,636. The second quote was from Britt, Markle, WNC First, NFIP, and Hiscox for $319,314. If the township were to choose Britt, this would result in a decrease of 3% over the prior year's premium. Britt currently writes insurance to a variety of municipal entities in eastern Pennsylvania, including the city of Bethlehem, Scranton, Bradford, also Bethlehem Township, Bristol Township, and New Holland Borough. Some of the highlights of Britt include a $1,000 deductible on cars, trucks, fire vehicles, $10,000 deductible on public officials liability, an average annual cost of $825 for each vehicle, including the fire and police that are covered. At this time, the board is asked to consider Britt for the general insurance package for the period June 18, 2015 through June 18, 2016. Tonight, Mrs. Christine Vaughn is here from Vaughn Insurance Managers if the board has any additional questions.
Okay. All right, comments or questions from board members for either Mr. Gray or Mrs. Vaughn? Mrs. Vaughn, nice to see you.
Good to see all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Galloway?
No, I just see here that Britt does write insurance for a number of municipalities currently, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So they're very reputable.
Very reputable, yes.
That would be fine.
Great rating.
Thank you.
They're great.
Mr. Boraski?
No questions.
Mr. Dents?
No, saving money, that's a good thing.
Right, yes. Basically, $10,000 savings over last year.
Yes, that's correct.
I think one of the things that Mr. Gray has highlighted here on our information, he didn't necessarily highlight, just looking at 2 neighboring municipalities, we're looking at if we go with Britt, $319,000 for insurance. Middletown Township is paying $387,000, so roughly $70,000 more. Bristol Township's paying $511,000, so almost $200,000 more than we're paying. And Bristol Township's, bigger than us in a lot of respects, in population especially. But I guess one question I'm noticing here in the quote, it says Travelers / Markle / WNC First / and then, but it says Brit / Markle / why the same names over and over again? Is there some kind of...
Just to make the clarification that they're different carriers. The Markle is for the pollution, and Brit is for the full package.
Okay.
Is for the general liability.
Oh, okay. All right, I got it. Okay.
And Bristol is with Brit as well, so that number is with the same carrier.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, that they're $200,000 more with the same carrier.
And one plus the umbrella is a $10 million umbrella this year. So for less money, you're having a great coverage there.
Okay.
It had previously, just for the times that it is now, the $10 million is probably a good choice by Mr. Peter Gray. And we had $3 million previously, but 10 is a great number for you.
Okay. So we've gone up in our umbrella coverage, but
Exactly.
we actually have gone down in our...
Which is great.
Okay, it is good.
Very good. Your cyber's much improved. It's a separate stacking policy, which is really very good for all the information that you have, and it's actually a much improved package for less money.
Okay. All right. Any other comments or questions?
Yeah, we checked every coverage. It's an excellent. It's a real high grade policy that you have.
Okay.
The best.
All right. Any public comment or questions? Seeing none. All right. Is there a motion then to award the insurance policy for June 18th, 2015 to June 18th, 2016, insurance policy, general liability, property, and public liability to Brit, Markle, WNC First, NFIP, Hiscox, the amount of $319,314?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Gray, and thank the staff for their work on this, and thank Mrs. Vaughn and your staff as well. Item 7, consider gym memberships for Retro Fitness for the Police Department. Mr. Gray.
Retro Fitness has agreed to provide gym memberships for the Township Police Department. These memberships are purchased to satisfy the contractual agreement with the union. With the offer of the membership, the Township fulfills its contractual obligation with PAFT. A total of 29 gym memberships were requested. The board is requested to consider ratifying the purchase of 29 gym memberships with Retro Fitness in the amount of $2,900.
Okay. Comments or questions, Mr. Gray?
None.
Mr. Galloway, Mr. Boraski?
No.
No questions.
Huh?
None.
Mr. Dents? No?
No.
Okay. All right. Any public comment needed? See no hands. Okay, then is there a motion to purchase the gym memberships for Police Department in the amount of $2,900 for Retro Fitness?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Brasky?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Call our meeting back to order. We had some technical difficulties. Apologize. Just to review, because Mr. Markey, who's running the video camera system for us, isn't quite sure when the system cut out. We did have item number 8, which was consider resolution for PennDOT agreement for reconstruction of the Alden Avenue Bridge reconstruction. That was passed unanimously. Item number 9 was an agreement with the Commonwealth to allow them to basically take the bridge, fix it, and then give it back to us. Again, this is a PennDOT project. It doesn't cost Falls Township anything. Part of an effort to reconstruct and improve Bridge. That also unanimously. And we were just about to begin item number 10, which, just adjusting my list here. Excuse me, item for traffic signals and upgrade. I'll turn this back to you.
Yes, Tom Beach from Remington Vernick Beach is preparation through PennDOT's ARLI program for the installation of 2 pedestrian crossing signals at South Olds Boulevard and the Golf Course Crossing and New Falls Road near Vermilion crosswalks. There will be 2 signals installed at each location. They will have programmable controllers for daytime and seasonal control. Grant applications are due by June 30th. Included in the grant application, a resolution must be approved by the Board of Supervisors. I believe a resolution was provided. The board is asked to consider the resolution for the grant application.
Okay. All right, I know we've talked about this. I know the South Olds Boulevard golf crossing by the golf course, obviously, that was something I think the traffic advisory.
Correct. It's a target location.
Yeah. And the New Falls Road near Vermilion Crosswalks, that's something that's going to tie in, allowing people that are crossing from Thornridge over toward Vermilion, the Vermilion Hill side of New Falls Road. The sidewalk that we're going to be constructing, going in front of the Vermilion Hill Shopping Center down toward Pennsbury High School. That's going to begin around that spot, and so this will allow sort of safe crossing from the Thornridge side over to the Vermilion Hill side. So it's all this tying together to try and make the roads more safe for pedestrians and people riding bikes and things like that. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray?
No.
Just one question. If we get the grant, we still have to get approval from PennDOT to install the traffic signals in that location?
Yeah, it would be part of the grant application process. So then they would have to approve it, and then they would go through the various
you're
steps.
going to get approved for the grant and the signal in that location at the same time?
Correct. That's the way I understood it. We were getting approved. They would approve everything.
Okay. That's all I have.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All right, then, this would be Resolution 1516?
16.
All right, which is allowing for authorizing the grant application for traffic signals and upgrades at South Olds Boulevard and the golf course crossing and New Falls Road near the Vermilion Crosswalk. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Okay, and tying in with that, the next item on the agenda is reauthorization to advertise for the New Falls Road Sidewalk Program. Mr. Gray.
On May 28th, a bid opening was held for the New Falls Road Sidewalk Program project. At that time, no bids were received. At this time, the board is requested to consider reauthorization to advertise for this project.
Okay, comments or questions for Mr. Gray?
Nothing.
No.
Mr. Galloway? Mr. Dents?
No.
Okay. Yeah, a little unclear as to why there were no interested bidders. This is, again, something through Remington Vernick, our traffic engineers. So they weren't really sure as to why nobody bid on it either. So hopefully it goes out. And I think it was advertised like we advertise all our other bids.
This went through Penn Bid as well, so it did go to, it was available to various contractors, but we just didn't receive anything.
Okay. All right. It could be a sign that they're busy doing other things, which is good in a way. It means, things are picking up, as we saw from the businesses we have that are expanding operations. It's bad also because it's tough to find somebody to do a job like this, which might be on the small side compared to other stuff that people are going to get. All right. Is there a motion to reauthorize advertisement for the sidewalk program?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, next item on the agenda, item number 12, minutes for May 18th, 2015. I know there's one mistake. I don't know if Mrs. Pullen picked up on or not. Mr. Jeffrey Dents, Vice Chairman, was actually absent for that meeting, not present.
So you're saying I'm a mistake?
I'm not gonna comment on that one. I'll leave that one alone. Other comments or questions regarding the minutes?
Excellent minutes as always, Mrs. Pullen. I did watch the meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to approve the minutes as presented for May 18th, 2015?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Abstain? Okay. All right, engineers report for June, or it's for May actually, but this is dated June 12th, 2015. Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Harvey. I only have one item to report on, and that would be the 2013 road program. The punch list is substantially complete with all the concrete items and all the paving items done. There are a couple of driveways that need to be readdressed. Some of the seams are coming apart in the hot weather. As far as the grass grows, they are under contract to grow grass. Wasn't a lot of rain for about a month or so, but now we had some rain recently. There should be some decent grass growth but they are required to water that grass 1 inch of water for every 3 days that it doesn't rain. We will keep after them and make sure that that happens.
Have they watered grass at all?
They have. Recently? I don't think so.
So they're supposed to go out there and actually water the grass they planted?
At least 1 inch of water for every 3 days, as long as there's no rain. Unfortunately, recently we've had some rain, so they haven't had to go out there and do any watering.
Okay.
They are aware that if the grass doesn't grow well, before July or August, that they'll be back in the fall, which, is not, it's good to know they're coming back, but it's not great for residents to have to deal with that over the summertime.
All right, other comments or questions for Mr. Sullivan regarding the engineer's report?
Yeah, it's not on the engineer's report, but we discussed the 2012 road program, the intersection of Kirby, is it, and Winding Way West?
Yes.
And you said that General Asphalt was supposed to be out there like the next week?
Yes, that's exactly what I said.
How long ago was that?
Probably about 2 weeks ago now.
Are they done then?
Mr. Dents, I'm not positive they're done.
Didn't go out today?
I don't know that. I will check on that and let you know tomorrow.
All right. Then you can get in touch with the resident that lives on that corner that keeps calling?
Yep.
Tomorrow. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
They had a lot of buffers, Senator.
Okay, if not, is there a motion to accept the engineering report for May 2015?
So moved.
Seconded.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, bill list for this month, and I see there's an amendment here. Okay, so the original bill list was an amendment for payroll. Bills for this month, $2,797,436 even, and that of that almost 2.8 million, over about 1.1 million is for salary, another 140,000 for health insurance, about 24,000 for streetlights. We also have 304,000 just about for fire departments, 45,000 for the library, $120,000 for the rescue squad. That's payment of funds out of taxes that have been collected. Also, escrow fund is about $47,000. Highway aid is $23,000. That's money actually that's not Falls Township money. It comes from state aid, or escrow comes from developers. And I noticed it was street light program is still going on. We see that happening, and they're pretty 80% done, something like that, maybe, or even close to.
Yes, I spoke to Mr. Orneo last week. The final shipment was or is being delivered to Falls Township this week, so they're coming to the end of the project.
Okay. Yeah, so it was $34,000 for the work. It's actually being done out there, and then I know I saw the amount for the actual lights themselves, the lamps themselves, rather, and now, of course, I can't find it. But anyway, so that's the bill list summary, brief summary of the bill list. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray regarding bills?
None.
Okay. All right, is there a motion then to pay the bills $2,797,436?
So moved.
Seconded.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Boraski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dents?
Yes.
Okay, item 15 is executive session. We don't have a need for executive session. Manager comment number 16, Mr. Gray?
On May 12th, a hearing was held pursuant to Section 206-12 of the Falls Township Code regarding allegations that Superior Motor Services had violated Chapter 206 of the code. Based on the evidence presented, it is recommended that the Board of Supervisors find that Superior did violate Chapter 206 of the code on two separate occasions. It is recommended that a fine of $50 be imposed for the first violation and an additional fine of $100 be imposed for the second violation. It is also recommended that Superior be ordered to refund the amount of $30 to the complainant Finally, it is recommended that a formal warning letter be issued that advises Superior that any further violations of the code will result in further sanctions, including but not limited to the revocation of the wrecker's license. Subsequently, it was determined the $30 was refunded to the complainant. At this time, the board is asked to consider the recommendation from the Township Manager.
Okay. Comments or questions for Mr. Gray or Ms. Gallagher? Mr. Galloway?
No.
No.
Mr. Braski, no? Mr. Dents?
No. I do have a question for Ms. Gallagher, though. We discussed changing the ordinance so that if there was a violation, the tower that made the violation would have to pay all the legal fees.
Correct, and that'll be in front of the board for authorization to advertise in July.
Oh, thank you.
All right, and the township does have, I guess in school terms, it'd be called progressive discipline policy, which means essentially that, first offenses are at a relatively low penalty, and then, of course, subsequent offenses, the penalty keeps going up and up and up. The overcharge was a pretty minor $30 overcharge, that was refunded, but still it counts as an offense. Sometimes we have gotten some complaints that maybe this we need to be harder on the people that are doing this, and we also allow for the fact that sometimes in terms of a company that's doing towing all over Bucks County, that sometimes a tow comes in and it's not clear where it's coming from, and someone in an office misses something on the paperwork and throws on a fee that really shouldn't be there. So, but allowing for that happens once, okay. Twice, 3, 4 times, which hopefully it doesn't happen again. And the owner of this company said it will not. That would be a different story. But no more comments or questions. Is there a motion to authorize or to authorize the manager to carry out his findings and the subsequent penalties on Superior Motor Services?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next item I have, the township received a letter from Mr. Sullivan at T&M Engineers dated June 8th regarding escrow release number 6 for Mercer Court. He is recommending a release of $82,659.37. The board is asked to consider this escrow release at this time.
Okay, Mercer Court is the development right next to the township building. That's they have 4 homes up now. I know they were planning on building more than those.
Well, they've actually sold the 4. One's the model home. The other 4 have actually sold. They haven't all settled. And I believe they sold a couple more for the next unit, but have not started construction on those yet.
Okay, that's good to know. I know there's some concern about whether or not they were selling it all, so that's good to hear. All right, is there a motion then to approve the escrow release $82,659.37?
So moved.
Seconding.
Mrs. Pullen?
Mr. Galloway?
Yes.
Mr. Braski?
Yes.
Mr. Harvey?
Yes.
Mr. Dent?
Yes.
Finally, tonight I just want to announce that Sylvie Concrete Mylars are ready for signature. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Board comments. Mr. Dents?
Yes. 2 weeks ago, we had our 5th annual Q for the Troops and Family Festival, which was a huge success. The weather was great. There had to be thousands of people that came to the park. I know Mr. Gray is still paying some invoices and stuff, but I know we've raised over $10,000 so far for Liberty USO. When we started this 5 years ago, we didn't raise anything. And I remember Tom Christine told me, he's like, if you're going to do this, it's going to take you a few years to get established before you start actually making money or raising money. And he was right. And we're to the point now where we're actually making a substantial amount of money that we can give to Liberty USO, which is great because the money stays right here and helps the troops right in the Delaware Valley. So thank you to everyone that came out. Next year will be even bigger and better again. So it was a great turnout again. Thank you. Also, you may have saw in the paper that the person that vandalized all the tires in Pinewood, the church fire at Resolution, and vandalism at Manor and the Pinewood Pool, the Falls detectives did a great job in catching this person, and they finally arrested him. So that person's off the streets. But Rich DiPolito, our fire marshal, also asked me to mention that they still haven't caught the person that burned the trailer over here in Breezy Acres, the home that was vandalized twice. And he knows it was an arson. So anybody with any information on that vandalism is encouraged to please call Rich DiPolito or the police department with any information you have. Also, school, today was the last day of school pretty much for everybody in Pennsbury. So, you know, watch out for kids. They're going to be out later at night now driving. People still don't use sidewalks when they should. So they're going to be in the street. Just keep your eye out and be careful. And that's all I have for tonight. Oh, I do have one more thing. We have a letter of interest from Miss Rachel Hall, who would like to be appointed to the Parks and Rec Board. And I served with Rachel on the Zoning Hearing Board for several years, and I think she'd be a great addition to the Parks Board. So I'm going to make a motion to appoint Rachel Hall to the opening on the Falls Township Parks and Rec Board.
Motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, yeah, I know Ms. Hull as well. She's been, has been a long-time volunteer.
Yes.
And I think a business owner here in Township as well, or in the area at least. So we have motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So
I do have one more thing.
Sure.
You're going to look soon, you're going to see the Park and Rec Board is going to be advertising a photo contest we're going to have. I don't have all the details yet, but there's a lot of people that are interested in photography, and you see a lot of pictures posted on social media of the park. I know Rachel Hall is an avid photographer in the park. So we're going to hold a photo contest. I mean, the park board will work out the categories and the details, but keep an eye out for that, which I think will be fun.
Okay. And I'll ask, thank you, and I'll ask Mr. Gray just to make sure that Ms. Mull lets Ms. Hall know that she's been appointed to the board. All right. Mr. Boraski?
Just one thing, Mr. Chairman. I just want to make mention of a AED project that the township has. We're getting started. It's been about a year in the making, working with some township staff, fire marshal's office, Parks and Rec. We actually have 2 locations being installed in the township. One is at Phase 2, Pete? Pavilion Phase 2?
Yes.
The one location will be at Phase 2 Pavilion. The other location will be at Quaker Penn Park. This is something that was brought to my attention probably a little over a year ago by a friend of mine. She spent a lot of time at QPP at the baseball fields, and it's kind of off the beaten path. God forbid there's an emergency. It seems to be, you know, something we're all reading in the paper and on the news lately. Baseball players are, you know, youth baseball seems to be big. Kids are getting hit in the chest, and you know, the AEDs in most cases have been readily available and, you know, have saved their life. So we've worked. We applied for a grant with St. Mary's. We were awarded the grant from St. Mary's. We are actually receiving 2 AEDs. I think the township has received the AEDs.
I'm not sure if they've come in yet. They should be here shortly.
Right. So along with the AEDs, we're going to have enclosures that'll be putting in. You'll see the enclosures going in the next couple of weeks. They'll be going in. They will have an LED light on the outside. So you'll see the LED. This is the first 2 locations. Hopefully there'll be more to come. And you can access, there'll be 24-hour access to AED. It will be monitored as alarmed. So, you know, I really wouldn't recommend opening that door unless you need to. The cops will come.
Yeah, right.
And they will come fast. So there'll be a camera in there. You open it up, it's going to take your picture. The sirens are going to go off. There's an alarm, and the lights will come on. So hopefully we don't have to use it, but it is there. It'll be there for anyone using the park and anyone down at QPP. I'm kind of excited. I put a lot of time in along with the Fire Marshal's office and Parks and Rec, so happy to finally see it getting done.
Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Mr. Galloway?
Yeah, just 2 things tonight. The first is congratulations to Mr. Dents on a marvelous job again for the Q for the Troops.
Thank you.
And I promise to do a better job with my pork entry next year. And on a more personal note, 25 years ago today, I married a young lady from Woodbury, New Jersey. So I want to wish my wife a happy 25th anniversary. Thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah. Yeah, well, congratulations to everybody up here, really. Mr. Dents really was the one who brought this idea up to the board probably 6 years ago, and obviously had the first Q for the Troops 5 years ago. And it really has grown, and it's become, a great event, multiple-day event, people from all over the Mid-Atlantic area coming here to compete, and it does seem to get better, and a lot of people put a lot of time in. But Mr. Dents really is sort of the driving force of this, and he won't necessarily take the credit he deserves, but that's okay. We'll make sure he gets recognized for it. But our Park and Rec staff, we had obviously Public Works out there. It's the police department, is the Park and Rec department, obviously, I think I said already. But a lot of work goes into it, and so everybody deserves a lot of credit. And the AED program that Mr. Boraski's been working on pretty hard. It's always good to see something. You start something nice, see it come to fruition. It's and it's obviously it's a great thing to have down there. So I thank you for bringing that up. And then Mr. Galloway, certainly anybody who's met his wife Terry realizes how far up he married. I'm sure he will admit that as well.
Thank you. Yes.
No, but congratulations, 25 years. That's fantastic. So, and what better way to spend it than here at the township meeting? That's I've done a couple of those myself. Birthdays and everything else. Just a few things to bring up. Another event we had just this past weekend, another fantastic event at the Township Park, was the Delaware Valley Vietnam Veterans Flag Day Memorial, which is its 30th year. It is now known, it has been for the past few years, as the Donald Jones, I think it's W. Jones, Flag Memorial, named after one of the founders of the Delaware Valley Vietnam Veterans who passed away a few years ago. But it's been here in Falls Township. The event has bounced around over the 30 years from Washington's Crossing, the Core Creek, Silver Lake, but it's been here for several years, and we're ecstatic that they call Falls Township Park home over the 3-day event that they have right around Flag Day. They had a tremendous number of volunteers, and I want to thank the Courier-Times for doing a lot of stories to get volunteers out. Typically, this was an event, you're planting about 65,000 small flags in a formation, essentially, that mirrors, looks just like the Vietnam Wall Memorial in Washington, D.C. So it's a very, very immense demonstration of patriotism and love for this country, and it typically has taken them at times, an entire day, 10, 12 hours to put it in. They had so many volunteers this past Friday that they were finished the entire thing in an hour and a half, which is really remarkable. And so thank you to all the volunteers who came out, whether it was a half hour, an hour, or 2 hours, or 3 hours. A lot of people poured out, and really a tremendously moving event. I mean, if it's not something, every year the crowds grow a little bit bigger, which I'm always glad to see. I remember the first few years I was going, there weren't a whole lot of people there other than just the people from the Delaware Valley Vietnam Veterans, but it really is a very moving ceremony, and they have a concert the day before, and so our Park and Rec department, our Public Works department worked very well with them, and as they have in the past, so thank you very much to those guys as well. And we have talked for a good while now about the Live Here, Spend Here program, and we had a logo contest, and I asked Mr. Markey, who's running the camera, if there was a way so I could display all 4 of these, the sort of finalists that we have. We had about 19 submissions, I think it was, roughly 19 or 20?
I think it was 16.
We had a lot of...
Oh, but 19 total.
Yeah, it was about 19 submissions total, and we had a lot of... It was kind of tough to narrow it down. We spent a couple days really kind of debating amongst ourselves, and we kind of narrowed it down to 4, and there is going to be a break sort of in this program. Mr. Markey's going to sort of edit for a second right around this time, so that the 4 that are the kind of 4 finalists can be displayed on the screen when you're watching, and then I'll come back and... I'll pause for a second here, let him sort of fit that in, and I'll announce who the winner is. So The design we have here, and we still have to contact the gentleman, Mr. Stensler, from who put this in. But the design we chose, which we'll have on signs and give out to businesses here in the township that they can sort of display in the windows to encourage people. Mr. Dents again, who kind of spearheaded this, the idea of living here. If you live in Falls, spend in Falls, and we continue our program of highlighting businesses here in Falls. We started with Thornridge Hardware. I know there was a local HVAC company, and there's some others that have put in. And if you are a business owner and you'd like to see your business highlighted on the Township channel at some point in the future, please contact the Township, or if you want to nominate a business that you think should be highlighted. And we're looking, obviously businesses located here in Falls Township that we want to encourage people to visit because we do have a lot to offer here. As Mr. Mariani was talking about, broadening our tax base and getting people to spend their money here. But it really is it's a great program, and we're very proud of the entries. Had a lot of really good entries, but we're proud to award this one. Now hopefully we can even get Mr. Gray to spend some money here in Falls Township. Apparently he does a lot of his shopping in New Jersey, from what I'm told. So hopefully we can get him to start improving that.
Is that true, Mr. Gray?
Well, a little bit.
What do you buy in New Jersey that you can't buy in Falls Township?
Oh, I can buy anything in Falls. Just over there sometimes.
A good answer.
Make a special trip just to go shopping, right?
Finally, this is our last meeting for a couple weeks. Again, we go to one meeting a month in June, July, and August. Our next meeting will be July 21st. And so I want to wish the gentleman in the room here with me, as well as Mr. Creer, who's here, Mr. Gray, Mr. Sullivan, Mr. Clark. Wish them all a very happy Father's Day, which is this coming Sunday. And I hope for a very relaxing day, doing whatever you're doing, what you choose to do. And for all the fathers and grandfathers here in Falls Township, thank you for all you do for your children, grandchildren, to raise them and make this a great community. As we saw with a lot of the things we did earlier this evening, police and fire, this is a great community. We should be proud of it. And obviously the 4th of July, wish everybody a very safe 4th of July. We had our Citizens Fire Academy wrap up and had their graduation, and I'm sure one of the things they focused on was fire safety, especially when it comes to things like fireworks, which in some weird way are legal to buy in Pennsylvania, but not necessarily legal to use. And so just ask everybody to please be careful, especially if we've had some dry months, dry weeks. If it continues to be very, very dry around the 4th of July, be very, very smart about where you're setting off fireworks. You shouldn't set them off at all, of course, but if you do, please, be smart about it, be careful. And happy birthday to the United States. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.